happens when a major transportation company, right, a major 3PL says we no longer want to grow linearly, operationally with revenue. What does that mean? No longer interested in having to add more people and more money that we make. Question is, how do you solve this? Answer: AI first portals. So in this video, right, we're gonna walk through a portal that was built to answer that question. And in this portal, we'll see AI assistants sitting on top of data, AI assistants performing actions for users, right? And asking for confirmation. AI assistants just monitoring things behind the scenes, right? You'll see us connect, right, to different data from disparate data sources, whether it's websites with no actual APIs that will magically connect, but that will magically converted into RESTful APIs. Data in AS400 systems buried deep into mainframes, right? Data in DB2, data in SQL, all meshed together underneath the watchful eye of an AI assistant and a infinitely scaling automation framework controlled by that AI assistant. What does that mean? It means that for this use case, this AI portal saves this client over 40 hours a week by automating the monitoring of oceanic freight and providing insight and the ability to export data in a manner which their clients want. So without further ado, let's jump in. This entire platform was built from scratch. All right. So the first things first, right? As it with any normal platform, you're gonna have the need to log in. So this handles that. All right. So pretty straightforward. Okay. So now we go back, and now we're just gonna be able to log in. All right. So I'm running this off my local. So obviously this filled the login, so you can actually see that. Okay, filled again. Let's see. Oh, wrong email. That's good. We're able to show that. All right, so we are in. And the first thing that you notice is that this is a super clean, flattened interface, right? You see the assistant on the right hand side. You see the shipments that we're monitoring on the left hand side. And there's a bunch of functionality that we have, but it's not overwhelming. The feedback that was received on the development and the use of this is one of the smoothest things that the team has seen in the space. Okay, but before we jump into functionality here, right, let me just gonna jump in and show you another part of this platform, right, which is the ability to upload the loads that needed to be monitored. All right. Now, AI works really good. These platforms work really good when they are built, right, according for the workflow and the need of the company in question, right? So in this case, right, while we have the ability, and while this platform does have the ability to connect seamlessly to email, to connect to different systems, in this case, this department, this group, served clients in Europe who either did not want to or were not at the stage here where they could provide APIs and websites and so forth. As a matter of fact, these clients insisted on using CSV files. I know, we're trying to get them over, but at this point, they do use CSV files. So what do? We built into this platform, right, the ability now for our users to upload CSV files, right, and able to track across different portals, as well as built an AI assistant that could help with the upload process, being able to detect whether different loads were already uploaded or in different states, so that the users did not have to spend time cleaning up the CSV before uploading. This is a very fancy way of saying that any CSV can be uploaded in any format, and the AI assistant will be able to detect what it needs, and pull it down, compare it with it's been uploaded before, right? Only take what it needs. So in essence, we took something that could have been cumbersome because again, we were stuck using CSV and we made it as simple as possible. All they do right now is download the latest CSV from the client and they upload it and the AI takes care of the rest. They don't even have to look at it. All right. So let's see what that looks like. Let's start off at this point. So here, right? I can come into here, the AI assistant kicks off. Realize that the AI assistant says, I'm awaiting instructions. You can't do anything yet. Please talk to me. So let's just kind of have a conversation with our AI assistant. So let's say someone new comes in and they go like, hey, can we track loads on the Acme portal? Right. So the way it works in transportation, if you're watching this video, you know, the transportation guru, it's that, you know, loads are tracked on different platforms and different portals according to the carriers that you use. Right. A transportation firm at any time sometimes may have hundreds of these portals which they track against. And now you're starting to see where the 40 hours a week comes from. Right. So in this demo, right, I've purposely made it such that we're going to track against a particular portal so we can actually do this demo. And so, for example, we can track against the Acme portal. It is not in the assistant's purview to be able to do that. So let's see what happens. This is live. This is the AI assistant going to work, tapping into the AS400, tapping into different data sources, tapping into the automation framework and saying, hey, I do not have Acme currently in my system. I can add it and someone will reach out to you, right? But before I proceed to do that for you, I need some additional information. Can you provide the username and the password for the Acme portal? Now I can go through the conversation. I can go through the conversation, say, hey, here's the username, here is the password. And what it will do, it will log this and then it will shoot it off automatically to the support team who will then be able to add that to the scalable automation platform. All right, but we're not going to do it. We're not going to go through this right now. Let's go down for a next line and we're just going to say, hey, I was simply asking, we do not need to do this right now. And I'm gonna spell this bad on purpose, see what happens. Again, this is live, I'm recording this. All right. Oh, so it's insistent, right? So I was gonna say, so I'm gonna ask it about another portal. It says, hey, I have found this portal. Right? And again, I love to do these demos, right, where things do not always go perfect, right? Because I get tired of demos where it looks like everything goes perfect. That's not how AI works, right? You have to see that you have to build in these flows, right, and these guardrails in AI that even if sometimes it goes a little bit left, it can still continue doing its work. And you saw that, right? You see, again, very honest demo. I say, hey, we do not need to do this right now. The AI insists, look, it's not in my system. You need to add it. And the reason is that the AI has been prompted and programmed to be helpful and try to add as many portals as possible. So I just tell it, hey, forget about it. Let's go on to the next one. And you can see it still works, right? And this is how AI really works. So now what I can do here is that I can now, right, upload a file that I want tracked. So let me go ahead and grab that. So now I'm just going to simply grab a file. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to upload it. See, and then immediately the AI starts evaluating it. See that? There you go. And look at this. It says, I have analyzed this, and there's 387 entries in here, right? But they already exist. So pretty much the AI goes like, I'm not going to add this, right? Because it's seen it. And that's good, right? That's good. So let's go back and let's go to the monitor view, right? And you can see, right? We're here. We have 487, sorry, entries that we can now monitor. And you can see, it says that I'm monitoring this. This is up to date. But look at what's happening here. Right off the bat, the AI assistant says something. That's pretty interesting. Right? So coming in here, we see off the bat that the AI assistant is already telling us things, right? The AI assistant knows that the reason why someone comes in here is to just check on if any shipments have been updated. So right off the bat, the AI assistant says, I have noticed that 427 shipments have updates you haven't seen. Would you like to review that? Right? And if I was to click on this, which I'm going to do right now in a second, you'll see the view on the left-hand side change to only show the loads where something has changed. And now, what does it mean something has changed? It means that we have an automation platform that is controlled by the AI that scales infinitely, that is able to track these throughout the day, every 15 minutes. Okay? Can you imagine what that would take if this was done manually? Right? Look, we're saving 40 hours a week just with this platform, but it's actually more than that, right? It's 40 hours a week with the human team checking once a day. This now checks 4 times an hour. So from a customer happiness standpoint, this has actually increased customer satisfaction by 5x, because now we're getting almost real-time updates on the changes in loads, right? So the second thing that AI says is this. The AI recognizes that sometimes maybe the automations can fail and sometimes things might fall through the cracks. So what happens here? It also says, here are shipments that haven't been updated in 24 hours, right? So again, I'm on the demo system. So it means that the automation is not running every day on the demo system. So you can see it's true. It says, look, and I can show you one of the loads, right? You can see this one. You see a few of them. You can go scrolling through. All right, you can see, here you go. You can start seeing some of these loads here that says, hey, one recent change, one recent change, one recent change, right? You'll see some of them saying that this was viewed by a person, which is me 2 days ago, right? And you can do all these things on the platform. So let's just kind of walk through this, right? So if I just want to see the loads that have not been, if I just want to see the loads that have been updated, in the last 24 hours, because remember, I am a customer support specialist. I'm going to come here, I'm going to say, yes, show me only these updates and let's see what happens. Right? The AI says, okay, now I'm showing the 327 shipments, I have unseen changes, and all you get here is the 327. Right? Now, here's how this works. This is pretty cool. A user can go between working with the AI and working manually, right? So let's say I want to now just check out some of these loads and I want to just kind of note them that I actually looked at them. So I come in here, right? Let's look at one. Let's look at a few of them. Right? So you can see there's a ton of them, right? Right? You can see all of these, right? So let's just say, for example, I'm going to come in here and I want to say, hey, you know what? I've seen that you've updated this. I want to note that I saw it. I can mark it as viewed. Right? You can see right here, it said it's viewed by me less than a minute ago, right? And I can just go ahead and keep on marking some of these as viewed. Right now, why do we need to do that? Because again, in this case, an entire team monitors this loads. So it could mean that at 8 o'clock, Chris went in and he noted that it was changed, which means that when he notes it, it means that he's reported it to the client, right? At 9 o'clock, Jeremy could come in. At 9:30, Amy could come in. And the entire team could come in and still use this platform. And all they need to do when they've noticed that something has changed and they've reported it to client is that they simply click and mark it as viewed. The system now is actually smart enough to know that when something is marked as viewed, The only time it re-enables the ability to mark it as viewed is if the automation that it controls changes some information and that date is newer than the last time somebody viewed it. All right, so pretty cool, pretty simple for them to use. Now, there's additional capabilities built into this platform. All right, so let's say I'm gonna clear the filter here. I could do different things. There's different bulk actions that could be done on the site. So for example, I can select a few loads, right? And I can delete them, right? So that's a bulk delete. I'm deleting 4. Another thing that I can do, I can see, I just want to download these free loads. It's gonna download all the information, right here on this freeloads, right? And I also can do things like, hey, I can bulk mark it as viewed. And this is a lot of the times that this is used, right? So let's say we're here on this page. We have a ton of stuff that needs to be viewed because they're new, right? I can come here, I can just bulk click and I can say, hey, mark as viewed. Right, you can see all of these are marked as viewed, and the AI assistant is always giving confirmation back and forth as to whether something is okay to be done. All right, so obviously we looked at deletes, looked as marked as viewed. We're looking at, as I mentioned, downloads. There's also searchability in the platform. All right, I can search for a particular load. All right, you can see right here. I can search for a particular load by the cell tank number, by the load information number. And then look, sometimes I might get into a conversation or get into a situation, let's say, like this, where the AI is actually driving what I'm viewing, and I might want to just reset it. I just reset it, right? See, my whole view on the left-hand side reset, but my conversation did not reset, right? Because I want to continue having my conversation with AI, and it keeps it in its brain, so it knows where I'm at and what I'm trying to do. And then obviously, if I click on any one of these, I get details about that shipment, right? You can see details about that shipment is right here. I have flags to know, like the AI flags it, right? To know when something is like a safe estimate or safe number. It uses its brain to determine, hey, is this a value you can actually depend on based on prior knowledge and based on historical information. So you can say like, yeah, the portal says that's the estimated date of arrival, but don't believe that, right? Because of historical information that it has. Right, so as you can see, I've kind of gone through this, and the last thing I want to do is, because I've deleted some loads, and I'm going to delete more. All right, and let's delete more. All right, so we're going to go back to our AI assistant, and let's pretend that we need to re-upload that same file that we did before. And we'll see a different behavior. All right, so you can see here. I'm going to upload the file again. My AI is going to go to work again. And this time it should say, I've found some new loads, even if I use the same file, because this time I deleted some of the loads that were being tracked. Right, you can see it saw it again, but at this time it added 14 new entries because it did find 14 new ones. Now, the AI assistant, the front end, this is just a small part. Well, I shouldn't say a small, but this is like a pretty much 60%, 50 to 60% of the entire capabilities of the system. The other part of the system that is very intriguing is that we need to keep in mind that this platform needs to scale to monitor thousands of loads across hundreds of potential portals. How do you do that? So what was done was that a platform was built on AWS using serverless technology, meaning that it can scale infinitely, right? But at the same time, if it's not being used, it goes down to zero cost, meaning that this client pays nothing to run the automation platform that I'm about to show you. And however, as they continue scaling, right, the cost will go up. But even so, while it scales, if there are no loads being monitored at any particular time, they spend zero. And what that means for a business is that they can actually align cost with value. Like we know explicitly what it costs to monitor a load every day, right? And it's minuscule. It's like 0.0000001 cents, right? Again, from a value standpoint, it's a game winner. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of insight into the automation platform. I won't go too deep into it because there's a separate video for how this was entirely built out. But I do want to give you a glimpse into the platform that powers the automation. Again, to be very clear, when you push up a load here in the platform, the AI assistant has full control of what I'm about to show you. It schedules the load for tracking. It tracks when it needs to stop it. It looks at triggers to know when it no longer needs to track the load. And one of the triggers is if the load has arrived stateside at the US, it knows that it no longer needs to track that load and it automatically stops tracking that load. But let's see what that platform looks like. Oh, and again, this is the first snapshot, and this is great to show, right? Because it kind of proves my point. Last month, $21 to monitor thousands of loads, $21, right? And again, this saves at least 40 hours a week. And if you average out the wages you would pay for that, let's say at $35 an hour, you're talking about $1,400 a week. You're talking about $5,600 a month, for nearly $6,000, and you're spending $21 to run this platform. Plus, obviously, some of the AI costs. So in all, maybe around $100 to run this platform, saving about $6,000 in labor costs. All right, so let's just kind of jump in. The first thing I want to show you is that there are free endpoints into the platform, Extract, Act, and Crawl. The one that we use here is Act. Act allows us to go against any website and act as the human being, right? So in this case, we are acting as a human being, requesting the status of a load, right? So obviously we can actually automate any website. The second thing I'll show you, and this again, this part of the video gets a little bit more technical. The second thing I'll show you is the queues. Whenever the AI sends a job into this platform, the platform understands that it needs to keep track of the requests that come in from the AI and be able to communicate back to the AI, right? Whether the job is taken or not. These are called queues, right? So we have queues here that this job's going to. Again, so this is all AWS. Whenever a request comes in from the AI, right, it has to be notified to the entire system. Think about the system subscribing to requests. So there's what's called an AWS topic for this. So the AI says, hey, I need you to go ahead and act like a human being to get the status of this load. So this listens to this. So in this case, the act job topic listens, is always listening for that request. Once it gets a request, it puts it into the act jobs queue, right? And once it goes into the act jobs queue, the next thing that happens is that we have actually clusters, right? Where what's called containers, which is, you can think of a container as a mini, a fully encompass run environment, like a computer. Think of it as like a small little computer that only gets up. It only wakes up when there's a job for it, right? So there are different clusters because each cluster has different requirements like memory and all that kind of stuff. So we have a pretty big CPU and memory footprint for the Act cluster. So it's separate from the other two. So it's about 8 gigs. Every container, right, for a Act job is like 8 gigabytes of memory. It wakes up, it says, I am available to do that job. It takes the job, it gets it done, and then it passes the information back to wherever it was instructed to pass this information back to. In this case, it goes back to a webhook, right, which then connects to a database, and then the database is then used by the AI assistant to do stuff like this, right? So again, actually, you know what? So there's some new things that actually showed up for the AI assistant because we just updated some information. So again, this is how it works, and what I can do very quickly here on this recording is show a little bit about that working in action. So what I'm showing here right now is an API call that the AI would make to this platform to be able to track this job. Right now, what I've done is that I've removed, for the sake of recording here, I've removed our API key and I've removed the webhook. But this request, when I click send, is going to go into the scalable and serverless automation platform. It's going to wake a job up, right? It goes to the AI assistant. The AI assistant approves it, right? And the AI assistant goes like, okay, I need to go update this. I need to get an update on this right now because it's a new load. And then it kind of does its job. So I'm going to go off screen with this. I'm going to put back my credentials in. I'm going to run it, and I'm going to show you what's happening in the automation platform that the AI controls. All right, so now I've sent a job in. So let's see what happens. So what's going to happen here right off the bat is that you're going to see in this queue that a new job is going to be in now. There you go. See, new job. A new job just came in for the Act Jobs queue. And the next thing that we're going to see is if I go in here into the Act cluster, we're going to see that there's a job a task that's going to be created. Here you go. This is a new task that got created, right? And then what's happening right now is that AWS is working up the infrastructure that says, I am going to actually process this task. And the task is go search, right, on this website for the status of my load. And then it's going to take that information and it's going to send it back to a webhook that's going to contain all the details on the load, right? So let's see what's going on. So you see it's running. So actually I can click in here right now. I can go into the logs and I can actually show what's going on. And here we go. All right, so again, I cannot dive down into too much details of the logs because lower down there's some protected information, as we, because we're in dev mode. But you get it, right? So this actually got done. The job got ran, right? And it's going to update the database. It's going to alert the AI agent's memory that this has been done. And now the AI agent can have a conversation about that particular load. It can get updated, and all that kind of stuff, right? So again, this is, a complete walkthrough, I should say, of the AI first, work platform for a major logistics firm. And we're saving about 40 hours a week doing this. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. In version 2, we plan on doing several things. And these things include things like archiving loads so that we can actually revert them. Things like doing comma delimited searches. Things like having the AI send out alerts for high urgency and critical loads that are falling to a certain state, because the AI has that ability right now, but we're just not sending out the emails. And the last one is to auto archive on additional triggers. Right now, the AI is archiving once the load hits the United States, but there are different triggers that the AI can use to stop monitoring. So we're going to implement that too as well. And then obviously, as time goes along, we're going to add more automation capability to this entire platform. So again, this is a detailed walkthrough, a detailed demo. I hope this helped in understanding, the capabilities that's possessed here to be able to build out a platform like this. So looking forward to having any conversations about this. Goodbye.